All right, everyone. It is From the Margins with James Lafont. I am your host, David Washington, with my dear friend, Jimmy Lafont. Jimmy, how are you, sir?
Better than I was last week, and hopefully not as good as next week. As my grandfather used to say, every morning that I'm seen is a great morning, because if I'm not seen, it's because I'm dead. So,
Like that. Your grandfather, a very wise man.
yes. So,
Oh, so Jimmy, we got a good one here. We may have a tale of classic corruption. What do we have today?
well, let's talk about our cabinet and things that happen, and nobody really noticed what happened. So, I'm going to bring you up how corrupt our state government is. When Trump said, "Hey, Marco, you're going to be my Secretary of State," he had to resign to the Senate. The position was open. The governor had an opportunity to appoint somebody. Okay, you would say he's going to appoint the most qualified person, the best person. No, 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 no. He had a corrupt schedule, and I'm going to try to read this because it's kind of interesting what he did. He
Okay.
took out Miss Moody, Ashley Moody, who was the Attorney General. Okay,
Correct.
and appointed her. And everybody said, "Oh, good move." Uh, if you think there was no alternative motive to that, let's clarify who he replaced her with. He replaced her with his chief of staff, who is Mr. James Altamere, who now became the Attorney General, not elected.
Hmm.
The one who keeps throwing in Orange County and is going after our prosecutor here in Orange County and hasn't been able to prove anything because his career attorney general told him there's nothing here, but he keeps saying that there's all this bullshit and he has nothing. Is he qualified to be an attorney general? He meets the age requirement and some of the education requirements. Yes. Has he really ever been a litigator? No. Has he ever distinguished himself as a attorney? No. Has he distinguished himself as a corrupt politician? Yes. Okay. But he has a vote in the cabinet. Okay. Let me build this up. But
Okay.
if that was not, we have the when Congressman Matt Gaetz resigned to his position on the scandal, the chief of financial office of the state of Florida ran for that position and won. Okay,
Okay.
so what did DeSantis do? Ah, he then appointed uh, Mr. Agloa, who was a state senator, to that position. But that was not. It was not done. It was not done. Then, when the lieutenant governor of the state of Florida got the job as the South Florida president, okay, he then appointed to replace her Jay Collins from the
Yes.
state senator. The whole cabinet of the state of Florida is not none of them were elected to that position. That's a
Mhm.
phenomenon that most people do not understand. And it
Okay.
was really done completely intentionally. Once, you know, a lot of people were surprised that DeSantis didn't appoint himself to the Senate. He could have,
Right.
but he didn't. He appointed Moody, who was the Attorney General, who, when he kept saying, "Look, Orange County is doing this, Orange County is woke, Orange County is doing," Moody would say, "Look, there's nothing here. No, I'm not going to make an issue out of it. No, I'm an independently elected official. I'm not going to listen to you." He
Okay.
promoted her, sent her to Washington, then took his chief of staff and made him Attorney General. Then the CFO, the same. He said, "Hey, why don't you run for Matt Gates' position? I'll help you." He gets elected, and he appoints somebody for that position. Then he gets his lieutenant governor to get hired as a president of a Florida university and appoints a state senator to that position. The whole cabinet owes their position to DeSantis.
That's right.
And let's get it even further. There is a thing in this Orlando Sentinel today that caused me to laugh. My wife said, "What are you laughing at?" That there's a probe investigating, a grand jury investigated into the Hope charity scandal.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. And what he's going to do is he's going to fuck it up, say that there's no indictment came out because there's no wrongdoing, and that way they can wash their hands. The Attorney General of the state of Florida used to be the chief of staff of DeSantis, who approved the $10 million that was moved into the Hope Corporation, and who was the person who negotiated that as his chief of staff. Do you want more corrupt than that? I'm sorry. You have a cabinet that he has articulated a way to get everybody who owes him their job to him, because he appointed them, and before he appointed them, said, hey, this is what we're going to do. Now you can say, well, what evidence do you have of that? The Orlando Sentinel front page of Sunday. Did the GOP give a leap to pay off for seller? They just paid for 4 acres, $83 million. According to the appraised value, it doesn't come close to 9. It's 8 point something. Maybe they got confused and they put 10 zeros to it and they paid it. This is a developer of South Florida, and all the cabinet approved the sale. But who appointed the cabinet? DeSantis. Who is the boss of the cabinet? DeSantis. Who do they owe loyalty to? DeSantis. Have they been elected by the citizens of the state of Florida? Not the lieutenant governor, not the attorney general, not the CFO.
Wow. And Magic, the Magic Villages is the developers Magic Development LLC, if I understand correctly, and they have lost. They have been unsuccessful in several lawsuits as of October of this year, and also they're facing more lawsuits. So, there's just a lot of problems all around, right, Jimmy?
Yes, but look, they say follow the money. I sometimes say follow the stink. What qualifications did Alderman have to be attorney general? Well, he's over 35. I would grant you that. He is a male. He has his education, but was he elected to that position? So when you see the CFO of the state and the Attorney General of the state making the issues over Orange County, Florida, let's remember one thing. Neither of them were elected by the voters of the state of Florida. Neither of them owe any loyalty to the voters of the state of Florida. They are following the instructions of DeSantis. DeSantis wants a revenge against Orange County, and he's doing it. What qualifications does either of them have to do the job? Age. Are they qualified as experts in administration of law? No. Are they qualified in handling financial responsibilities for the state of Florida? Not really. So their only qualification is that they have their head up Ron DeSantis' ass. Other than that, and the age, they have none. This is the maximum corruption of this state. That one of the things that nobody's talking about, nobody's publishing it, nobody's talking about other than a little article that appeared as a guest columnist in the Sentinel this weekend, making the mention. We know this But realistically, this is what bothers me, is that the other day somebody said, but the Attorney General of the state of Florida is saying this, the CFO of Florida is saying this about Orange County. And these are people who were, no, they were not elected. Are they qualified? No. In my opinion, they're not qualified. Right now, no, they're not qualified. So realistically, they were appointed by the governor. The governor appointed his chief of staff. Let's repeat this, because this is where it's like, really, his chief of staff as Attorney General after he appointed Mooney to the Senate. He appointed two senators to be CFOs and to be what you call it, lieutenant governors. Okay,
right.
Okay, this is a scary thought. They sit in the cabinet. Attorney General, you're there because I put you there. Then technically, I could remove you and appoint somebody else. CFO, you're there because I appointed you. Technically, I can remove you and appoint something else. This is how ridiculous this has got. None of the elected people that we elected in 2020 to those positions sit in those positions today. They are gone. They're not there. And it's a sad thing for me to have to say that's the maximum corruption of Ron DeSantis. And if you think this is the only thing, look, the probe into Hope is supposed to be handled by the Attorney General of Florida. And who's the Attorney General of Florida? The person who approved the $10 million to go into Hope.
Exactly. It's his chief of staff.
Somebody who should be investigating himself for corruption is the Attorney General of the state. That is a sad point. I'm sorry, people. If you don't pick up how corrupt this state is, you don't understand the state of Florida. So, with that, I'm calling out the Attorney General of Florida to quit because you're not qualified and you're corrupt, and you should be investigated for your corruption, and you're blocking the investigation as Attorney General. CFO, you don't have the qualification to know how to manage the funds of the state of Florida and other matters. You need to go too. So that is what I wanted to bring up about the state of Florida being corrupt. And let me tell you, I will be bringing you during the weeks. This is not the only questionable contract.
Oh,
As I also said, who's handling the investigation into Hope? The Office of the Attorney General of the state of Florida. Really? Really? A person is corrupt who participated in the corruption of Hope is the one who's investigated. Okay, so I'm sorry.
So
I will bring you more in the upcoming weeks. Yes.
So DeSantis is insulating himself with his appointees, insulating himself from any direct damage that could come to his reputation to the office of governor. It appears like there's a quid pro quo that's going on. The appearance of it.
Oh no! Appearance of it is one thing. If you really think that James O'Fallon, filed a grievance or a complaint against the governor with the Office of the Attorney General of the state of Florida, if that's going to go anyway, no. Look, this thing that they purchased at an excessive price, that for 5 acres, 4.83 is 5 acres. I'll grant you that. Fine. That they paid that much for it. Who would investigate that? The CFO? Not really. He voted for it.
Right.
Let's put it this way. The Attorney General? No, he voted for it. The Lieutenant Governor? No, she voted for it. So it's like, no, we are in the position that we need to understand that there is no way for corruption to be investigated the way he has surrounded himself at all. And that's why he's pushing that Ashley Moody gets reelected, because it's in his best interest that she's never come back to the state of Florida to investigate.
Right. So, wow, Jimmy. Wow. And like you said, Jimmy, I was shocked that he did not appoint himself, DeSantis, we're speaking of, that he did not appoint himself to be senator. He'll be set. He'll be set for life. I mean, he can stay there forever if he wanted to, given the Republican politics here in the state of Florida. And so it was a strange pick to elevate Moody to that position. Good for her for having some professional tact, some professional standard to say or allegedly say that, hey, this doesn't look right. If in fact this whole situation was brought in front of her, Hope, Florida, Magic Village, if she was aware of it, and she's like, hey, I'm not going to play politics with this.
She had more integrity than Pam Bondi. And okay, let me clarify that. A lizard has more integrity than Pam Bondi, but that's a story for another day. An alligator has more integrity than Pam Bondi, but that doesn't say much. But she was more qualified, is what I'm trying to say, to be attorney general than Pam Bondi ever was.
Right.
Pam Bondi, but no. The other thing is that I think he was more concerned. How can I steal money? Look, there's also an article of donations and different corporations that have been created by different people to donate to different entities. As a matter of fact, that's part of the investigation and to hope. So it is really a matter. He can make more money this way, and he's isolated because and Attorney General investigator. Hell no, I'm not investigating my boss.
Right.
Hey, CFO, the funds of the CFO, I'm not investigating my boss, and he doesn't have the integrity to do so. So yeah, it was a smart move on his part. It's like I was in a meeting this afternoon where somebody said, "What was the intention?" Now you know what the intention was. The intention was for him to steal as much as he could and isolate himself by protecting himself with the Attorney General of the state of Florida. So when the Attorney General of the state of Florida says something about the Orange County, sir, you have no integrity, no standing whatsoever to question anybody because you're the most corrupt person who's ever sat in the seat of Attorney General of the state of Florida in my history. Maybe previously in the 1800s when I was not alive, but they may be able to answer the 1800s if there was somebody more corrupt because he was around in the 1800s here in the state of Florida and tell me, yeah, there was somebody more corrupt. No. In my time, you're the most corrupt Attorney General that there has been and the most disqualified and the only one that I could look as an attorney and say, you're not qualified to sit in that seat, sir.
Jimmy, is there an independent or is there a mechanism to create an independent investigation into Hope, Florida, and Magic Village?
Yeah, there is. But guess who has to approve it?
The governor.
No, the Attorney General.
Of
You
course.
understand, this is brilliant. It's so brilliant. People have always figured out that the Attorney General is a person elected individually who's not under the umbrella of the governor, who basically does not different from the Attorney General in the United States, is not appointed by the governor, is elected independently, has an independent function, and basically functions independently from the governor's mansion.
Mm-hmm.
By removing her and sending her to Washington and appointing as chief of staff, now the person there is not elected, is not responding to the community, is responding to the person who appointed him. And the person say, would you like to be Attorney General? Yes. These are the conditions. Accept them? Yes. There you are. Could he right now appoint somebody to investigate Hope? With all due respect to everybody, he was the chief of staff. Everything that happened passed through his hands. He had knowledge of it, and he had to say yay or nay. So, with all due respect to everybody, it would be him investigating himself too. He's not that dumb. I mean, he's not that smart, but he's not that dumb. If he opens an investigation, it would include him. It's like the Epstein thing. Why do you think Donald Trump doesn't want it to be investigated? Why do you think that Mike Johnson doesn't want to swear in Carvalho? It's simply because if he does, the Epstein thing gets out. And if the Epstein thing gets out, we all know that Epstein and Trump are close friends. Was Trump involved with young girls? We don't know. We don't. Some people say they don't believe so. I don't know. But do you really want to investigate the sitting president of the United States who has the power to go and campaign against you and make sure you do not get elected? I wouldn't.
Especially if being an elected official is more important to that individual than bringing the truth to light for the community that he or she serves.
Well, we know that for Republicans, except for it is.
Right.
So, yeah. But
and I truly believe that, with the hundreds of millions of dollars that Epstein pushed through J.P. Morgan and other banks, that there are some powerful individuals with a ton of money who are there on the peripheral of government and industry, who are on that list, that are vulnerable to being seen for who they really are, predators, if that information does come out. And that's who Trump is actually protecting.
well, in a sense, maybe. But at the same time, if he is associated as a friend, as a buddy, as somebody who hanged out with him, that's not going to help Trump's image at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a two-part. It's helping. You see, this is where it's conflicted, because some of the people on that list he does not like. Well, one of them, I can mention it by name and last name, Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Everybody knows that Bill Clinton and him party together, and Epstein party together. So it's not like, oh, well, where are you coming from? No, that is known, and so as well as it's known that Epstein and Trump party together. So basically, you could try to sell that Clinton was with little kids, but Trump wasn't.
That's a
There's a self-preservation here. The other powerful people, maybe. As a matter of fact, this week, Epstein still had an effect from the tomb when Prince Andrew quit.
That's right. Andrew had to abdicate his world responsibilities and titles.
Because of Epstein. No other reason. Okay, so his image was very much damaged. See, I'm going to say this I don't mean to sound like a joke, but it might sound as a joke. I don't think that you could ruin Bill Clinton's reputation anymore as a as a predator, because God knows we have known that for years.
Right.
And Monica Lewinsky was just one of those many scandals.
Yes, that's true.
One of those many scandals. So the truth is, yeah, is the man. Can he get any worse? Maybe, I don't know. But Trump has always tried to pretend that he did not do the things that he did. Look, we all know that Trump was in Trump Tower and Atlantic City, fucking anything he could get his hands on. He was a Charlie Harper, no doubt about it, in his days. The only thing, he did not drink alcohol. But other than that, yeah. And so when people tell me that he's trying to protect the rich and the powerful, no. But he allowed the rich and the powerful to kill Epstein in jail and make it look like it was a suicide.
Oh, wow.
And all the people around him saying that it was a suicide, when there's a video that's missing. And if you think that's purely coincidental, you're an idiot. It would not be the first time that the powerful and the rich had somebody killed.
Wow, Jimmy.
Let's talk about it the way it is. Right now, the government is closed, not because the Democrats did it. Look, and all the other shutdowns, the House and the Senate will work and they would keep working to get things operating. As a matter of fact, there's a very famous West Wing scene in which the president goes to the House to try to work out their differences. The House sits down and tries to negotiate among themselves what they're going to require as a condition to the president in order to operate. He says, I've been waiting here 15 minutes, fuck you, I'm out of here. And when they came out, the president and everybody was gone, and he looked great because he tried to negotiate. There's been no negotiation between, in the Senate, there's been some, but very little. And in the House, there's been none. And the other day, one of the senators said something that makes sense. Hey, the House sends us bills, and we modify them, and we send them back to the House, and then we create a committee, and we negotiate. What the Senate is telling us now is, hey, take this continuing resolution as is. No, there's no negotiation. There's no working back and forth, or you take it or you leave it. That is not the way that operates there. Right now, as it stands, all the polls show that who's losing this is the Republicans, because they won't sit down and negotiate. And the interesting thing here is what's going to happen once he does have to open the House and Garralde signs the thing, and with the 218, it goes to the floor and it gets a vote. Will the FBI refuse to give that to the House? That would be an interesting thing. That would be very interesting. Could they? Yes. Would it succeed in court? The way that judges are ruling the Supreme Court right now, they have half of their heads up the ass of Donald Trump, so I'm not sure if that would just completely put him all the way up.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jimmy, please.
No, go ahead.
And you mentioned the Democrats here, and I want to ask is there a way that the Democrats can take advantage of this and really get some traction, not just and not just with the Epstein thing on a national level, because they need the help, but also on the state level in regards to the DeSantis, Hope Florida and Magic Villages issues. But I don't see anything substantial from neither, organizations at the federal level and at the state level that's really sticking.
That's because you're not a senior. Right now, the subsidies, as we know, have disappeared, and basically all the insurance coverages for seniors are forcing you to go into an Advantage program, which, contrary to popular belief, is not the greatest. An Advantage program forces you have to accept their doctors, their hospitals, their medications, and their approval for treatments, which with regular Medicare, you don't. If you go out of state, you might be screwed because the group of doctors that you're accepted are all in Florida, and the hospitals that you're accepted are all in Florida. So you might not be able to obtain services outside.
Right.
And when people say, well, it includes dental and includes vision, unless you wear glasses, that doesn't really help you. And dental, yeah, it's nice to have a cleaning once a year paid set by you by your Advantage, but it is not something but that. But those people who are looking to renew their Obamacare are trying to see that the prices that are coming up are without the subsidies because they have not been voted in, and these are services that are going to be rendered in 2026. So since there's no vote that they will rule in 2026, the companies have been forced and to give the increases, and people who are looking at their health insurance and trying to see that they're going up. That's what's giving the advantage to the Democrats. Not that they're doing something, it's that. Then the fact that to a certain degree, people are, look, the wars are going on, you could talk Tomahawk or wherever, the wars are going on. The thing in Israel is not really that solid as they would, the president's been trying to sell us. It really isn't, because neither of the two parties are going to agree to the terms that are in there. We know that, and eventually it's just going to explode again. It's just been a say so far. But the most interesting thing is what a person from the Nobel Committee commented, which makes a lot of sense. President Trump wants a Nobel Prize for peace. He's about to go to war with Venezuela and Colombia. A president who starts a war is going to get a Nobel Prize. He's already said that he's going to start bombarding Caracas and Venezuela, and
Yeah, he
maybe
did.
he did. But we should reward that with a peace award when you're saying you're going to bombard another nation. Is it me, or am I seeing something here that does? And people are fed up because prices keep going up. Gasoline one week goes up and the next week goes down, and
That's
it's
true.
never stable. Uh, if you go to a restaurant, it's become forbidden. If you go to Publix or a supermarket, prices are skyrocket, and basically people don't see what was promised to them. And basically, at this point, the only people who are making money are the rich. Middle class and the poor are getting fucked. So this is more actions than reactions. And the government is stopped, and the people who refuse to open it is the Republicans, and people know that. Mike Smith could just say, uh, uh, Congress is in session on Monday, and it opens on session. He's a speaker. He has that authority. He has said, I'm not going to open it until the Democrats cave in and do what I tell them to do. Well, you know something? You might not have any legislation. And one of the things that I think has helped them, believe it or not, is that people are listening to the left, not to the woes, okay, but to the left are saying, look, can you afford to buy food? No. Can you afford to buy a new car now that they cost over $50,000? Oh, you have to repair your cars? Yes. Oh, wait a minute. The Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, and the presidency. How is that the fault of the Democrats? The affordability issue is working with the American people because they're being screwed. So basically, they've lucked out. Now, Florida's a little bit different. Florida, we have a crazy person as our chairman. Nikki the other day made a statement that she wants to open the primaries in Florida
Yes.
to non-PAs because that would attract more people to vote in Democratic primaries. Nikki, get your Democrats to vote. You don't do anything to get out the vote. That's why they don't vote. Give them good candidates. Who are we going to vote for right now? An ex-Republican. I hear there's another Democrat, what you might call it, our mayor is running. Demi
Yes.
is going to be running. Okay, but I hear there's a third candidate, but I'm not sure who that is. That's running, but that's not her work. She's now more up the ass of she's pro sign-on, she's pro Israel, she's campaigning for Israel, she's raising funds for Israel. Look, you were not elected to do that. You were elected to run the Democratic Party. Okay, to make sure that we win the election next year, to get us good candidates. Who's running for Attorney General? Look it up in your computer, and you're going to find out who's running for Attorney General. Who's running for the U.S. Senate? A school board member from Brevard.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put her down, but and was she recruited by the Florida Democratic Party? No, she ran. He's running. I don't know. Who's running for CFO for the Democrats?
Who's running CFO? We've got no one.
Who's running Who's running for Attorney General?
For Attorney General, we have Jose Javier Rodriguez. If this is the Jose Javier Rodriguez from downstate, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe.
I thought he became a Republican.
Oh boy, then that's not a good thing. Oh no, this Jose Javier Rodriguez, and I may be wrong. He is, it looks like, an attorney. and I believe he has served with the assistant as the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Employment and Training. Um, and yes, he's running for Attorney General. He did serve in the Florida House of Representatives from 2012 to 2016, and as a member of the Florida Senate from 2016 to 2020. I think this may be the same Senator Rodriguez who was voted, who was running for office, and then someone with a similar name was added to the ballot, was qualified to be on the ballot with a similar name, and the votes were split in a very close rate. I may think this may be the race. I'm not too sure yet. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. JJR, as he's known as, in 2020, Rodriguez lost his reelection bid to Republican Elena, Elena. Oh, my Spanish sucks when this happens. Garcia by a narrow margin of 32 votes. This ballot also included an independent candidate with the same surname, Alex Rodriguez, who was previously registered as a Republican. And so Alex's campaign was funded with dark money linked to Republican strategists. And Alex Rodriguez received more than 6,000 votes. So, yes, this is the race that had the scandal, and former state senator Frank Artiles, a Republican, took credit for engineering Alex Rodriguez's run and Garcia's subsequent victory. So,
So we might have somebody qualified. We are not who's running for Secretary of Agriculture.
and for Secretary of Agriculture, we have Democrat. Get ready for this one. Chase Andy Anderson Romagno, Romagnano.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy is out of Pensacola, Democrat. And what do we know about Andy? Uh, let's see. Not much. Not much, Jimmy. Not much at all.
And none of them were recruited by this Florida Democratic Party. So if you could ask me, the nationwide AOC, Sanders, and other people, Newsom and others are doing something, and it's helping the National Party. And the economy is helping the National Party. Here in Florida, we elected a crazy woman as chair.
It's
And
bad.
basically, she's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And basically, it's going to be a sad day to say this, but the chair position has put us in a great disadvantage. We have no leadership whatsoever.
It appears, Jimmy, that she just kind of gave up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, is it Mayor out of Jacksonville, or is it Gainesville, Dingle, or something like that? I can't remember. Dingle. Um, they put a lot of energy, the Nikki and the state Democrats in that race for mayor, and the Democrats won that race. And then after that, things just kind of subsided. Once in a while, you get an appearance from Nikki Freed saying, get out to vote or get out and registered or, request your vote by mail ballot, that kind of stuff. And that's it. It's like you said, Jimmy, she's got other priorities.
Yes, she does. And unfortunately, they're not in the best interest always of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And not that what her priorities are not important. I don't want to say that. But she was elected and she's being paid $100,000 a year to run the Florida Democratic Party. She is not doing this free. She's getting paid for it. Okay? Do your job. Your job is to get out elected Democrats, to help Democrats get elected, to work statewide with those who are running statewide, to help those who may need some to raise campaign contributions, all these other things. She's done nothing. She's just sat there and made some bad decisions. If she succeeds to open the primaries to, and I'm going to say this, the primaries to MPAs, she's going to get a lot of MPAs elected to run as Democrats. In case who they are really going to be, Republicans. People, she's done nothing. She has no accomplishments. So statewide, I am concerned. Look, I understand here in Orange County, Democrats are divided, and I'm not going to try to pretend that in Orange County we're united. I'm not going to pretend that there's not some serious problems in the Orange County Democratic Party. I'm not going to say that. There are. Does that function statewide? Yes. But the function of the chairman is to try to unite us and get people elected. And she has not been able to help us get elected a governor, a state senator, a CFO, Secretary of Agriculture, Attorney General. She has not helped us get the control of the Senate or of the House. And basically, other than getting one major elected in the state of Florida in the last 4 years, she's done shit. So, yeah, it's time for you, Nikki, to say bye-bye, farewell, goodbye. Okay.
Hey, you're right, Jimmy. You're right. And it's unfortunate for Democrats. Like you said, Jimmy, her job is to get Democrats elected. And for her to, come up with a plan to incorporate MPAs into that, into the ability to vote in Democratic primaries is possibly her last ditch effort to resurrect the party and maybe resurrect her credentials as a Democrat leader.
Yep. And by the way, she was the last statewide elected state official. She was the CFO. She's not a dumb person.
Right.
At all. Okay, so let's go into the fuck ups of the week. Since we
Let's
did
do
it
it.
last week first with the Republicans, I'm going to do it this week first with the Democrats.
All right, here we go.
It's called the young man in Maine who's running for the U.S. Senate, who is a oyster fisherman, a veteran, and who basically has made some past comments that were not exactly copacetic. He has a tattoo on his chest that really resembles closely to the Nazi symbol used during World War II. And his excuse is, I was drunk and they did this to me and I'm going to have it removed. And my comments that I did as a young man saying that I was pro-Nazi, I really regret today, and I think it was a bad mistake. And basically this week is the same mistake for the same fuck up for both parties. It's called venting. The Democrats are so desperate to find anybody that the first person who comes around who looks half decent, who can talk and articulate and put two sentences together, wow, he's the new future of the party. An example of that was Fetterman. Fetterman, everybody thought he was going to be the great future of the party, and he's a fuck up too. So, having said that, he raised $3.5 million, and he is the fuck up of the week for the Democrats. But
that would be Maine U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. You called by his name and last name? I was trying to remember, but it escaped.
Graham Plattner.
A big fuck up by the but let's get the ones from the Republicans. Here is kind of an interesting thing. Talk about being vented for candidate. The Republicans nominated Paul I. Garcia for the office of Special Counsel of the United States in the White House. It's an independent agency that reviews complaints of whistleblowers, and for the Hack Act, which is where acting in a political capacity, you take benefits of finances, the Hatch Act. Now, let's get this clear. This was a person that was recommended by the White House staff,
Yes. Oh,
and
man.
there's a signature of Donald J. Trump asking the Senate to approve him, and the Senate had not approved him, and has now asked the president to remove that, and that was because he made somebody made an issue that Montgomery gave the finger to the Columbus statue. This person texted that they should remove the Martin Luther King Jr. statue because he had done nothing to deserve such a statue.
Oh, man.
He had also said that the holiday should be suspended because he was nothing more than a socialist. Martin Luther King. And for the record, Martin Luther King was a Republican. For those of you, he was a Republican, but that was when the Republican was decent. So let's clarify that. He said that Martin Luther King belonged in hell. Okay, and he said that sometimes he feels like a Nazi. This was all in his Twitter account. Twitter, now X account. This is not a private text because the private Republicans who are up to the age of 40, they say, well, this is our private chat group. You should not be in it. Okay. No, this was a tweet that goes out to the general population. Okay. This was done less than 18 months ago.
Mm.
Somebody in the White House said, hey, this kid is okay because the only test for you being appointed to a position in the White House is how far can you get your head up Donald Trump's ass, not if you have an education, not if you qualify as an administrator, not if you qualified by knowledge, anything like that. No, you have your ass up Donald Trump's ass. You're qualified to the Senate. Really, you did not vent those things? You did not check this out? You appointed a 30-year-old to the office of special counsel of the White House who has no qualifications professionally to be how that office. He cannot be a U.S. senator. He cannot be a president of the United States because he doesn't have the age. Voila. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot be the state governor of most states because he doesn't have the age. He cannot be a state representative, and so on, because he does. But we're appointing a 30-year-old who tweeted that sometimes he feels like a Nazi.
Jesus.
And who says that Martin Luther King was a fraud and should be burned in hell. But that's okay. He's going to be the office of special counsel. If that's not a fuck up, I'm not sure. And they both go to the thing. Are we venting these people before we make them the future of the party? Because God knows that they've checked out Mandami from A to Z and found, other than he figured in an event, the statue of Christopher Columbus, which a lot of people have, but that's beside the point. That's called freedom of expression. But if that's the best you can come up with, Democrats, you're still fucked up. And by the way, Hakeem Jeffries, you still haven't endorsed him.
That's right.
You haven't still not endorsed him. And today, we're 2 weeks away from his election.
10 days. Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah. 10, 11 days. Yeah.
You are a disgrace to your party. But those are the fuckers up of the week. Before you endorse and say this is the second coming of Christ, check out who you're calling that. And before you say, hey, you could run a government agency, check out who they are.
Yes, sir.
I will say goodbye, and I will say something very simple. Subscribe, like me, dislike me, make a comment. I hear that my numbers are going up, and I'm very proud of that. And that's because I'm genuine. I don't give you no bullshit. I don't sugarcoat it. As a matter of fact, I'm mentally challenged. I cannot sugarcoat anything. I call it as it is. So,
That's right.
with that, I will see you next week. And I hope you enjoy yourself this weekend and have fun.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye now.